We're going to talk about the backers of a proposed ballot measure because they want to divert funding from the state's high-speed rail project towards new projects to help ease the state's drought. Comes as the cost to build a high-speed rail system have skyrocketed past initial projections. Phil, is it too early to see how much support a proposal like this would have?
Well, no. I mean, if you take polling, you'll find that in recent years, a number of Californians have gone cold on the idea of high-speed rail. Remember, this was originally proposed back in 2008 as a $33 billion project. We voters were going to put up about a third of that, which is $10 billion. $10 billion was going to come from private investors, and $10 billion was going to come from the feds. Well, the costs have skyrocketed. They ballooned to like $60+ billion. And this week, we learned that $250 million went up higher in just the opening stretch of track in the middle of the Central Valley. So somebody down in the Central Valley, by the way, is looking at, they aren't too crazy about this, and they want to change it. How do you stop it? Because the legislature's not moving on it. So what the voters give, the voters take away. In this case, this was a ballot proposal that says let's take 8 of the near $10 billion that we voters approved and put it into reservoirs and other ways to save water.
Talk about the battle lines around all this, if you would.
You can't get enough battle lines around this, but the big one is the governor. The governor's been sitting there and he's been keeping the project alive and going, largely on the use of clean air money. The argument was that building a high-speed rail would reduce pollution, so that extra 10 cents we're paying on a gallon for cap and trade has been going into that. But this would really cut it back, and it would say, okay, you go build the railroad on your own time, and we're going to go and use the money for other things.
The thing that the way it's structured now with high-speed rail is being built in the middle of nowhere in sparsely populated areas in the Central Valley. Yeah. So there aren't a lot of backers except the people who would profit from physically building that, right? Right,
and this was in part a jobs bill. I mean, remember in 2008 we had this thing called the recession going, where it was about, we were headed, we was before the recession, but once it kicked in, they said this was going to be a big jobs bill. Other states said no to high-speed rail. The Obama administration wanted high-speed rail. They wanted a project, and they were willing to put that money in there if we built it there. Now, here's what's getting interesting, because as this thing goes out there, and they're out there with their clipboards saying, no to high-speed rail, yes to water. And by the way, not everybody's really crazy about that idea, because some of this could be going to agriculture, which people aren't crazy about.
More battle lines.
Thank you. But if you're going to try to get water, you say make high-speed rail the enemy, people might go for that, okay? We voters are very susceptible to that kind of stuff. So anyway, you're out there with your clipboard and you're picking up your signatures on this, and they're going to say, okay, what can we do to sell it? One of the ideas is saying, let's redo the business plan. And rather than build that thing out in the middle of nowhere, why don't we build the first leg maybe between San Francisco and San Jose, where there's a boatload of voters, and maybe it'll get us support going.
I can't believe they didn't do that in the first place, but that's a whole other story.
They originally didn't think about that?
No.
We got the Bay Bridge by this, too. This is construction by committee. This is not, this is being designed and set up and stuff like that to accommodate everybody from politics to jobs to environmentalists to all those other things. So, yeah, this is what you wind up with.